So U.S. Democrats have lost the Senate vote to protect women's abortion rights by 49 to 51. That vote comes after a Supreme Court leak stating that the abortion rights may actually be overturned. The final decision will be taken by that court in June or sometime in July this year. Let's make sense of this latest development. Bring in the director at the African Center for the Study of the U.S., that's Professor Gilbert Khadiagala, who joins us now via our video link. And Prof, it's great to have you on the program. Thanks very much indeed for making time. I want to begin by first locating what exactly the Democrats were trying to achieve through the Senate vote.
What the Democrats are trying to do is to make sure that the law that was passed that legalized abortion in 1973 is called Roe v. Wade, is upheld. But what has happened in recent years is that the Supreme Court has turned to be much more conservative. So the Supreme Court wants to overturn that law. So the current move to codify it into law is actually to say, no, we can uphold that law, but do it much more in use legislative process, not the judicial process. So the problem is whether, in fact, they can do it, because the Democrats, although they have a simple majority in Congress, they still need the support of at least 60%, and they can't get the 60% to codify that legislation. But the fear is that if the Supreme Court overturns Roe v. Wade, then it's going to be, women are not going to be allowed, in fact, to have abortions. And there are many states now that are ready to implement anti-abortion legislations once the 1973 decision is overturned by the Supreme Court.
Right. It's interesting because it almost looks like what almost happened here was two arms of state potentially pulling in different directions. I mean, the Senate vote, as you pointed out, is largely legislative. The draft leak from the Supreme Court is a judicial process. I mean, what would have happened in a context where the legislators decided that, abortion would stay a legal right, whilst the judiciary overturns this important ruling that paved the way for something like that to happen?
The big problem is that there are actually two legislatures, if we could put it very briefly, that there is a federal, which is Congress, but there are also the states, which also have their own legislatures. The momentum to overturn that abortion ruling of 73 is coming from states. There are a lot of states that don't really want it. And so they are pushing, and they have elected, the voters have elected a lot of conservative people who are in Congress, and they are saying now it's ready. This is now the time to overturn that decision of 1973. So Congress doesn't have enough votes to overturn it, but that's what the Democrats are trying to do. There was a move last year to have it actually through the lower house to get it codified into law. But that was defeated because, again, you have a divided Congress. This year, especially with now the clear move that the Supreme Court is going to overturn Roe v. Wade, but they are now, Congress now, the Senate now, the upper house is saying, why don't we try again to codify it? But you can't do it if you don't have the vote.
Yeah.
that's the problem.
The obvious question then becomes, what other channels do Democrats have to block potentially the overturning of Roe versus Wade if, in fact, the Supreme Court does go ahead and adopt this draft that's been leaked?
If they can't do it legislatively at the federal level, which is the congressional level, what they would need to do is now to wait until there are voters who can vote, people who can go to Congress and then vote for codification. But that's assuming that's going to happen actually with the midterm elections this year, or maybe 2024 when you have the real presidential election. So it's a long process. person.
Right. Yeah.
And it's very difficult.
There's also so much being said about this draft that's been leaked by the Supreme Court, whether or not the leak itself was intentional. I'm more interested in the conversations, though, around the attempt, seemingly, by different administrations to change the configuration of the Supreme Court such that there are more conservative justices than there are liberal ones. I mean, speak to us about that and how it's potentially led to this, really groundbreaking ruling potentially being overturned.
You see, the Supreme Court now is composed of 9 judges, and you need a majority to pass a decision. So the Biden administration, or at least came out from the campaign before it took power, to increase the number of judges. What that would mean is that instead of 9, maybe you go to 12. So you're literally getting more people who are favorable to what the president wants. Because what happened is that under Trump, Trump appointed 3 conservative judges, and that tilted the court toward more conservative perspectives. So the thinking was that if you increase the number of the judges, then you get more liberal, more people, more judges that are amenable to democratic values. But you see, it's very difficult also to get that in fact passed. So the debate there is very stalemated already. That you don't want to touch a tradition that has been around for so many years.
Yeah, certainly so much at stake. Thanks very much indeed for helping us understand it a bit better. Professor Gilbert Khadiagala is a director at the African Center for the Study of the U.S., joining us there via our telephone line. Once again, Prof, thanks very much indeed for your time.